Well, the U.S. Navy decides to attack Fort Sumter and take it back. And apparently, going by sea into Charleston is not exactly the way we need to move forward. Hello and welcome to Civil War in Hindsight. I'm Lieutenant Tommy. With me as always is Prospector Johnny. And Johnny, this week the Union is continuing to take new ideas and try to get the war to be over. Unfortunately,
and we found the one that worked.
We might need to have a better think tank than what we currently have because it's not seeming to work. But let's get into it, Johnny. Just get right into it.
All right.
The bread riots aren't going to be the end of the food issues in the South. This week actually opens up on the 4th with Governor Millage Bonham of South Carolina asking his state legislatures for means to prevent the citizenry from hoarding flour, corn, bacon, and other goods because as of right now, the military's in desperate supply of it, and the civilians aren't giving it up. And
you're like, no, we would like to eat, please.
He wants some way to force the citizens, like, you should be the one starving, why the boys in uniform fight and get food.
That sounds like an idea right out of Lincoln's cap.
It kind of does sound like an idea out of Lincoln's cap. Lincoln is going to announce to Hooker that he intends to visit the Army of the Potomac this week, so perhaps come up with a plan on what you intend to do, because so far you've had several months and you've literally done nothing. You have done nothing.
But he's going to go there now and check.
And Lincoln's not going to go there and check out.
Plans to.
Yeah, he's going to go there and see the troops and see what happens. Skirmishing is still going to continue in Washington, North Carolina. Sorry, not Washington, D.C. Washington, North Carolina. We had that last week. It's going to continue there in Washington, North Carolina, as Union troops failed to capture a Confederate battery at Rodham's Point on the 4th. On the 5th, Lincoln is going to arrive at Hooker's headquarters. Like one day later, he says, "I am coming." Yeah. And he doesn't give him any notice. He's like, "Hey, I'm coming." Which again, if you're confused about the geography of the United States, Washington D.C. is actually south Virginia in some points, so it's kind of weird, but yeah, hey, we're there. It's fine. He made it, and now he's going to light a fire under his ass, and we're going to win this damn war, right? That's, maybe
the next steps.
With the 6th, we're going to see Lincoln tell Hooker that what he wants his campaign to look like in Virginia. And basically what Lincoln tells Hooker is, listen, I don't give a rat's ass about Richmond. Don't bother wasting troops, sending troops down to Richmond, trying to capture Richmond. I don't care. Get Lee. Get the Army of Northern Virginia is your goal. Yeah. Knock out the Eastern Army of the Confederacy. War's over in the East. So focus your goal on Lee and come up with a plan to deal with Lee. He's right there across the river.
Go get him.
We're locking eyes right now. Go. Do it. Do something.
And he did.
Anything.
And it worked.
And he does not this week. Does not do that.
Yeah, if it's for next week, he has to put his plans together first. Disseminate all the information to his troops.
Yeah. You got to have a plan. You got to build the whole thing up. All that fun stuff.
I mean, he's been sitting around doing nothing for a while, but now he's going to start thinking about it.
Yeah, we do actually have some shockingly good news from our brethren across the pond in England. They're actually going to confiscate, seize a Confederate vessel, the Alexandria, which was fitting out in a British harbor. So the Crown says, we look. I know
we want those things.
We have some citizenry that is trying to deal with the Confederacy, but us as a whole said we're not gonna do with either side. Like, you're not gonna be like a military port. You're not gonna be allowed to like refit here. That's not gonna happen. So when they find this Confederate vessel in a British port, they go, "No, we're done. You lost it's ours now. You lost it." So
so they wanted this stuff. Like, we're going to paint this under the guise of we won't get involved in this at all. Definitely not going to go either way. But we will take those things, please.
We will take that boat and we will use it as our own boat.
Our inventory, because that's what we do.
Yep. Yep. In Green Hill, Tennessee, a federal raid is actually going to capture a few Confederates and destroy a still house that contained 40 casks of liquor, Johnny. They destroyed it.
Yeah.
They absolutely did not destroy this. They distributed that amongst The entire tree. Yeah, I guarantee you it wasn't destroyed.
It was destroyed by Tommy,
consumption.
Slowly over a certain amount of time by a lot of different people. It was turned into waste.
It was very much turned into waste. On April 7th, 9 Union ironclads under Samuel Dupont are going to steam into Charleston Harbor and attack Fort Sumter. Johnny, we're going to take it back.
Get it back.
It doesn't go so well because you have Fort Moultrie that's occupied by the Confederates, Fort Sumter that's occupied by the Confederates, and they begin to shoot at the ironclads.
What?
A lot.
No.
2,209 rounds are fired by the Confederates to the ironclads 154. So we were slightly outgunned.
Just getting peppered. Did they hold up?
Each ship is hit at least 35 times.
Hold up. They fired 2,000 some odd rounds and landed under 100 of them.
No, there were 9 Union ironclads. Each ironclad got hit at least
each of the
35,
9. Okay.
35 times. One of them got hit significantly more, and that was the USS Keokuk, which got hit 90 times. But on the 7th, nothing sinks. Everybody's fine. Very minimal casualties on both sides. In fact, it's barely. This is a skirmish. It's barely even worth reporting, other than the fact that there were 2,000 rounds fired, which is quite significant.
That's 2,000 fewer rounds that they have now.
They have now, yes.
And they accomplished nothing with them.
Yeah, the fleet will back out of the harbor with no ships sunk on the 7th. And with me saying on the 7th...
You keep emphasizing that, Tommy. Yeah. Why are you emphasizing that
because so much? The next day, the Keokuk did sink.
Shoot.
It got a little bit too much damage.
Because it ran aground, hit a sandbank or something.
We'll go with that.
And not because the Confederates shot it a bunch. That's not why. It could take that. No. It hit something else. A shark bit the bottom
in the open,
out.
there was it got capsized, like the Monitor got capsized out in the open sea. These aren't the
it could happen to
river
anybody.
Boats, not so much open sea vessels. Yeah. But, and the week's going to end, Johnny, on the 9th, very quietly with some skirmishing at White River, Arkansas, which continues. Like they are just fight or stop it. Because every week for like the last month at White River, they've been taking pot shots at each other, and like nothing is happening. It's just bored soldiers
just
being
wasting
bored
ammo and just but I mean, maybe being bored's better than being dead. So
that's true.
If they're allowed to keep on doing it without Lincoln paying them a visit or whatever, I don't blame them.
McClernand's troops, they're going to continue to operate below Milken's Bend in Grant's latest attempt to get to Vicksburg, but nothing is going to happen in that part of the campaign. So it's a short weekends with us learning that attacking Charleston by the sea is not viable, or at least not viable with only 9 boats. So stay tuned next week to see if we get Charleston with 10 boats, maybe. That's it for this week in Civil War in Hindsight. If you enjoy Civil War in Hindsight, check out Historic Hindsight. We'll talk about all kinds of fun things, like presidents and how the early presidents or even the current presidents aren't exactly the most upstanding U.S. citizens.